My fingers trembled when I pulled that little cardboard box from Harrison's bag. 7 years of marriage, 3 years of a dead bedroom. Diane insisted I was suffocating him with my paranoia. Sydney rolled her eyes, scoffing. Harrison practically lives at the office. When would he even have the time to cheat? Are you out of your mind, Maeve? Harrison just stood there, silent. I didn't make a scene. I packed a single suitcase that night. The next morning, I slammed the divorce papers straight onto his office desk. My phone blew up all day. His whole family ran a relay race trying to convince me I was the crazy one. My mom also called. He doesn't hit you or curse at you. He gives you all his income. What more do you want, Maeve? What did I want? A sudden memory hit me. Our wedding night. He was drunk, holding me in our new bed. He pulled me close, and he groaned a different woman's name into my neck. I pretended not to hear it. I kept pretending for 7 years. I snapped a picture of the box, saved it in my camera roll. It was a 3-pack. One foil wrapper was torn open, leaving 2 untouched, and I certainly hadn't used them. Harrison certainly hadn't used them with me. Not because I didn't want him to. He just always had a watertight excuse queued up. I'm exhausted from overtime. Had too many drinks with clients. I have a 6 a.m. meeting. Eventually, the excuses stopped. He'd just step out of the shower, walk straight into the guest bedroom, and shut the door with a sharp click. Lying in the dark, I could hear the muffled, repetitive audio of TikToks coming from his room. Sometimes it was the same video looping several times. Sometimes it was him sending voice messages. His voice kept very low. I never knocked. I never asked who he was talking to. Asking would make it seem like I cared too much. When Diane came over, I was busy emptying his closet. She perched on the edge of the mattress, watching me tightly fold his winter sweaters. You're sabotaging a perfectly good life, Maeve, she scolded. You know Harrison. If he was actually sneaking around, do you honestly think he'd be dumb enough to let you find the proof? I kept folding. I already interrogated him. Diane pushed on. He said they belonged to his coworker. The guy rode shotgun and dropped them. Men are clueless about this stuff. He explained it, and you're still obsessing over it. No wonder he pulls away from you. I shoved a gray cashmere sweater into the storage bin. I slowly stood up, locking eyes with her. Diane, I said, what kind of coworker leaves an open box of condoms in another man's car? She froze for a moment, her expression shifting, then stood up and walked out. You just insist on thinking the worst. I'm done trying to talk to you. Sydney lacked her mother's subtlety. My phone buzzed. She sent a long message in the family group chat. I didn't read all of it, just caught the last few lines. Don't go too far, Maeve. If my brother actually wanted another woman, he would have dumped you ages ago. You really think you're that irreplaceable? I hit the settings icon. Leave group. Harrison dragged himself in past 11 that night. I sat motionless on the living room sofa. The TV flashed silently in the dark. He kicked off his dress shoes, his eyes flicking toward me. He hesitated for a fraction of a second. Then he walked right past me, heading straight for the guest room. Harrison, I said. His footsteps stopped on the hardwood. He didn't turn around. Chapter 2. Whose condoms are they? He went dead silent for a few seconds. Then he turned around. He wore that same mild, flawless mask I'd stared at for 7 years. I told you, they belong to Evan, Harrison said smoothly. You met him. He sat next to me at the company holiday party. I just looked at him. He held my gaze, his eyes completely steady. I almost bought it. Then let him tell me, I said. Call him right now. Put it on speaker. His frown deepened, and that mildness finally cracked. What is wrong with you? I didn't say a word. I give you a perfectly logical explanation, and you refuse to listen. He snapped. You really want to blow this up? It's just a box of condoms. I didn't actually do anything. Is this really necessary? It's just a box of condoms. I didn't actually do anything. I stared at his face. A complete stranger stood in my living room. 7 years ago. Our wedding night. He pulled me into his arms in our bridal bed and mumbled, Chloe. It wasn't my name. We both froze. For a split second, stark clarity flashed in his pupils. Then he crushed me tighter against him. Just drunk talk. Forget I said that. I didn't forget, but I never asked. I did my research later. Chloe, his college girlfriend. They had dated for nearly 4 years and split after graduation. I saw her pictures online. Round face, hooded eyes that crinkled into little crescents when she laughed. My exact opposite. I thought getting married would fix it. I thought that over time, I could eventually warm his heart. I cooked his meals. I washed his laundry. I birthed his son, Ezra. I waited hand and foot on Diane. When his mother spent a month in the hospital, I rushed there every single day after clocking out. Betty, the woman visiting the next bed over, constantly praised me for being the perfect daughter-in-law. He squeezed my hand back then. Thank you. I thought it was genuine affection. Looking back, it was just the polite gratitude you give a hired nurse. I drafted the divorce papers myself, pulling a generic template off the internet, tweaking a few clauses, and printing 2 hard copies. Harrison got off work early that day. He spotted the thick stack on the coffee table and flipped through the pages. Are you serious? He asked. Yes. He dropped the papers. He sat down across from me and lit a cigarette. 7 years of marriage, and he had never once smoked inside the house. Fine, he said, exhaling a thick cloud of gray smoke. Name your terms. What do you want? I stared at him. The back of my eyes suddenly burned. Not grief. It was feeling like I was so stupid. He wasn't even going to try and fight for us. I don't want a single dime, I told him. I get Ezra. You keep the rest. He flinched, the cigarette hovering near his lips. You want nothing? Nothing. He took another slow drag. After a long time, he stubbed his cigarette out in the ashtray. He stood up and headed straight for the guest bedroom. His footsteps stopped dead at the doorway. "That box of condoms," he murmured. With his back to me, his voice was very low. "They're hers." I clenched my fingers. "Her name is Chloe." "I know. We've been seeing each other for 6 months," Harrison said. I wasn't trying to hide it. I just didn't know how to bring it up. I squeezed my eyes shut. "Do you have anything else to ask me?" I shook my head. He couldn't see me, but he seemed to sense it. He pushed the door open and went into the guest room. The door closed very softly. Chapter 3. I sat on the living room sofa for hours. The TV stayed muted. Eventually, I stood up and walked over to the guest bedroom. There was no sound inside. I went back to the master bedroom and locked the door. Early the next morning, Harrison left for the office. Then came the light footsteps, stopping outside the master bedroom. He waited for a few seconds. Then he walked away. I finally dragged myself out of bed around noon and pushed open the guest room door, only to find the duvet lying perfectly flat. The divorce papers sat on the nightstand, his signature slashed across the bottom line. An empty pack of cigarettes was placed on